All right, today is Friday, January 18, 2019. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes CSI implementation group. First up, we're going to go over the Q4 2018 outstanding tasks. First up is gRPC bump to support CSI 1.0. I have been looking into this. It doesn't look like there is any additional work to do here. So I think we're okay as is. There was a unrelated root cause that they found. So most likely no further work required here. Cutting an official 1.0 release of all the sidecar containers for 1.13. As far as I understand, this is complete except for the cluster driver registrar. And the cluster driver registrar only has README that needs to be updated. And it doesn't look like Luis is on the line for an update. Does anyone have an update on this? Okay, moving along, we'll keep going. Next up is syncing host path driver YAMLs to end-to-end YAML to E2E YAMLs. Is this something that we're still tracking? It seems like a pretty low priority. Looks like Vlad's not on the call either. Next.
We still have a problem that we don't know exactly where the host path driver example is supposed to live. So that affects also you with your documentation, because right now it's in limbo. Basically, the goal is to have it in the CSI driver host path with a script that pulls the necessary parts, but that's exactly this one open pull request that hasn't been completed yet.
I see. Okay. So in this pull request, he's moving the host path driver here as well as the examples.
Yes, and the RBAC file, not just the RBAC files, but the deployment files actually that currently live. I'm not even sure where the current real copy is. I think it might be under the E2E testing directory from Kubernetes.
I see. Okay. So what is this currently blocked on?
I think he just needs to move, address some of the comments. I do have one conceptual problem, and that is that he is pulling files from the branches. And then not exactly from the release that is in the YAML file that he's deploying. So there is a potential risk of version skew between between the sidecar container that is running and the RBAC rules that get installed for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you are looking at the other thing where the old documentation said that you need to install these CRDs, and I think Vlad just copied that here into the script.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering what happens if they are already installed, or whether that's the right version that needs to be installed. So that's a bit unclear to me.
Got it. I think all those are valid concerns. I want to have as simple a solution as possible that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. So even something as dead simple as just copy the RBAC file and put a comment on top of it or a README file with it to say this must remain in sync. And
yeah, but that hasn't worked in the past.
Yeah.
This must be kept in sync is the first thing that people forget when they make changes.
How about a unit test that tests for to make sure it's in sync?
What I would do is I would grab the YAML files,
mm-hmm.
check what version is listed in them, and then in the script make sure that we pick exactly those files. I don't know what to do about these the CRDs. I don't know what the intended usage is of where to decide from where to pull that. Whether it should be in that script or separate, that's really something that you probably know better. But at least for the version skew problem, I would make the host path install script a bit more, well, I hesitate to call it complicated, but I would make it a bit more complete, a bit more intelligent,
mm-hmm.
that it is guaranteed to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. In the case of CRDs, ideally they shouldn't have to worry about it. The Kubernetes deployment should take care of it, but I'm guessing this is trying to take care of the case where that's not been done yet, since that's still a work in progress. Okay, so this seems like something that needs attention and review.
But I think Vlad just needs to continue working on it. Perhaps I can do a prototype, or I can do an enhancement with this version thing for the RBAC rules. I might try that.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, thanks for that, Patrick. Next up is the Kubernetes CSI documentation. I'm still working on it. It's painful and slow, but it's chugging along. If you go take a look at it, there's a lot of comments on there. Feel free to review. In general, what you should do is look at the summary file and start from the top and then go to the bottom. I have completed all the files up to volume, snapshot, and restore. So these are the ones that are remaining. I'm just working my way through them one by one. And so anything above this, feel free to review and to provide feedback, and I will address it as appropriate. And the blog posts for CSI GA are now live. So if you go to the Kubernetes blog website, you should be able to see them. So we can mark this as complete. Oops. All right, now let's move on to the work for this quarter, 1.14. Moving callers to V1 objects. This currently is still unassigned as far as I know. CSI objects to beta. Xing has set up a meeting for this coming week on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. If anyone's interested in participating in this meeting, please reach out to her and she can add you to the invite. Is there anything else you want to add here, Xing?
No, just waiting for the meeting to happen.
Okay. Next up is the migration alpha. Staging repo is set up, rebasing all the PRs. David and Deep have been sending PRs to actually start consuming the new repo. Consume new library are pending, are in progress. So this looks like it's pretty much on track. Next up is raw block to beta. Has Ben been showing up to these meetings?
Haven't seen him recently.
Okay. Yeah, I was sending him some messages about the blog post for block, and I haven't heard from him. He was at the SIG storage meeting yesterday, and I think this was the same update that he gave there. He needs a driver that he can test in CI. Preferably, he wants the host path driver to be the one that's used for testing. So we'll see if he can actually work on that host path driver to update it to support block. Next up,
we do have someone new here on the call. Sunny, he pinged me earlier yesterday, and he started working on some PRs. Sunny, this extension of a host path driver, if no one else gets to it first, this might also be something that you could work on.
Oh, that would be great.
Hi, yeah, I can try it, yeah.
Okay.
So I would basically just do it with that device. The host path driver needs to run as with root anyway, so should be doable.
Yeah, that would be great. So, Sunny, if you can sync up with either Ben or Patrick, and they can kind of point you to the right direction. The idea here is that we have a CSI driver called the host path driver. For all intents and purposes, it's mostly used just for testing. A real CSI driver usually has a real storage backend where it can persist data. The host path driver just uses a directory on that local machine. So obviously you wouldn't use it for any real workloads, but it's great for actually doing end-to-end testing because we can write data and read back and actually run through all the control plane operations that we do on the Kubernetes end-to-end testing side, like attaching and detaching and mounting and unmounting and provisioning. So the ask here is that driver currently only supports file, meaning mounted via file system. And we want to be able to imitate a block volume somehow. So I think it would require a little bit of understanding of what the difference between file and block is, and then figuring out how to do this on the host path. So for ideas for that, talk to Ben and talk to Patrick, and if you're still blocked, come back here and we can have a discussion as well.
Yeah, I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll try.
Cool, thank you. Next up, excuse me, inline volume alpha. Sergey and Vlad have been working on this. Doesn't look like either of them are on the call. Looks like there were some outstanding questions that needed clarification around supporting persistent and ephemeral drivers. We'll have to sync up about that offline because I'm not aware of what the context is here. Next up is snapshots. As I understand it, I think Xing and Jing were working on some designs for this quarter. I've asked Jing to hold off on pushing the designs out this quarter because I don't want to have people's review bandwidth taken up by something we're not going to be delivering this quarter. But I still need to have a follow-up conversation with Jing to talk about that. I think she wanted to discuss it a little more, so I'll try to do that today. Next up is read-only considerations. Believe this is still unassigned. There's some items that we wanted to look at here before the end of the quarter. Refactoring work. Vlad is not here to give an update. Revamping the CI process. Patrick, I've been hearing a lot of good work going on here. Do you have any updates?
I'm still blocked on the new repo, unfortunately. I tried to ping someone from Contrib X to get that created, but to no avail.
What is the new repo? I'm sorry, I haven't been following.
We decided on CSI. No, we did not pick CSI. I think it's CSI release tools.
Okay. And that would be in Kubernetes-CSI. And do you have a org bug open for it already?
I have one and approved it, but now someone from Contrib needs to do the next step.
Okay, let me see if I could get that kicked.
I've tried by pinging on Slack, but no one picked it up.
Yeah, my bet is they're just super busy right now. Okay, I will make a note to try and see if I could poke folks as well, and hopefully that gets unblocked soon. Next up is splitting up drivers into individual repos. That is still unassigned. We really should get to this before the end of the quarter, but we could probably do it after code freeze because it's internal to us. Testing cluster driver registrar tests. I'm not sure what
Speaking of code freeze, at which point do we need to start freezing for the next release?
So the release branches are here. So if we go to 1.14, the release timeline, sorry, should be in this repo.
And actually, for the site, we want to have a release that is aligned with 1.
Oh, with 1.14? I don't think that's necessary unless there are changes that we're depending on in the core that require it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for everything,
Now I can't. Yeah.
yeah, everything I've seen, I don't think we need to have a coordinated release for the sidecar containers.
Impression. I was just wondering.
My internet is acting up. Okay, I finally got that opened. But that's not what I wanted. But anyway, you can look for the release schedule in release 114. And moving along, external provisioner, scaling timeout retry issues. So Jan put together a document capturing all the issues with the external provisioner today and proposals on how to fix it. And then it looks like, Jan, you've converted some of those issues into GitHub issues. And
I'm just linking them.
Okay.
Linking the existing ones.
I see. And so what are the next steps for the document that you sent out with all the issues?
I have a couple of questions at the beginning of these minutes.
Okay.
And, well, I think I have at least design for most of them in my head. And there is one big question, how we deal with.
Are you still there, Jan? You broke up.
Yes, I'm still here.
Is anyone else having trouble hearing him, or is it just me?
Yeah,
Okay, I will leave and join. Hello, is it better?
So far, yes.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions at the beginning of this document you are looking at right now.
Saad,
Okay. Yeah. I start with the simple ones, like often I need to tag a lot of people on GitHub. Can we have some alias? And I always forget someone.
That's actually related to the question that I had. Is this an official working group? Should we have a document? Should we document that this meeting, for example, happens?
Yeah. My thoughts on this group are that I only want people who are actively working on it to attend. When we send out share meeting invites more widely, what ends up happening is a bunch of people show up and just kind of listen. That's fine for SIG storage, but for this meeting, I like to keep it focused on the people that are actually doing the work. So it might be worth documenting it, but with a caveat like, hey, attend this meeting if you are actively working on this. If you're just interested in discussion, go to the SIG storage meeting. So that I would be okay with. The second thing of having a team that we can reference, I think that's a good idea as well. I actually don't even know how to set this up anymore. In the past, we used to have permissions where we could just go and create GitHub teams. Now that is no longer the case. So I support this, but you would have to go and reach out to probably Kubernetes org and have them create the team for us somehow.
Okay.
At least double check. I think that's the case if I go to...
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to? Do you have any?
That applies to GitHub Teams. Probably it does.
Dart still online?
Sorry, it looks like my internet is unstable, so I got bumped off and then I just rejoined. Carry on. Go ahead, Jan.
No, I have nothing to say.
Okay, so we were talking about the first item here.
Yeah,
and
I will
then
try to find something.
Okay. And then the second item is common connection function and default timeout.
Yeah, what are our expectations? What should CSI sidecar container do when the driver socket is not available? And how long should it wait?
I was wondering the same. I think I researched it in the past. I think it was attacher who waits forever and provider who gives up, but I'm not sure. It might have been vice versa.
Yeah, it was other way around.
Okay.
It should be the same. So this car waits for 1 minute and then it's.
What's the advantage of quitting?
That well, it results in some events. See that something is wrong.
Yeah.
And Kubernetes will mark the pod as, I don't know, container backoff or something.
Yeah, but then it's showing up as an error in sidecar while the actual problem is this.
Yeah, but in the logs, we can clearly see what's the problem.
But that means you actually need to go to the logs, and you can't see an event, for example, just
Not sure object.
I'm working on a complex scheme with gRPC connection handling, and he was one who most recently looked into that. There were issues if the container failed, the back off from Kubernetes is fairly high before it restarts container. So I think there were even test flakes because of that, but I might misremember. So I'm a bit more in favor of just waiting forever, perhaps with a log message or so, that when you time or when you go into exponential back off and don't try immediately, that there's something in the log that the problem is visible, but that it keeps trying forever.
Yeah, I like Patrick's approach. We should keep retrying forever. This is kind of the model that Kubernetes follows. If it eventually, if something corrects itself in the system, it'll eventually start working. So we shouldn't give up as long as the pod has been started and it is something is saying that we need to provision a new volume or whatever. We need to keep trying to make that connection.